We're on Job, chapter 6 and 7. And I just realized I forgot to put the title on this. I was a little in a hurry. And I'm also a little early today because I have a lot of stuff to do. So, anyways, let's get started with some prayer. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And dear Lord, I also just pray spiritual, mental, physical healing and growth upon all of us, friends, enemies, world leaders, and church leaders. Give us the wisdom and knowledge and love to do your will. Give us the fruits of the spirits, which is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self control. I pray, Lord, anyone that's dealing with physical issues right now, they're being maybe attacked with problems physically, whatever it may be, mentally, spiritually, please give us the desire and the humility to reach out to you for help so that you are, more, and please come into our lives and help us, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so we're on Job, and great story about good things can, or bad things can still happen to good people, and because Job was a really good guy, and he was so good that Satan, who has nothing better to do, approached God. He still has the nerve to approach God, and God somehow allows this, and he even and then when God asks what are you doing, and Satan's like, oh well, I've been just roaming around the earth looking, observing everything, and trying to get into trouble basically. So he came to God looking for more trouble, and God says, well, what about Job? Have you considered Job? He's the finest in all the land. He's upright, this and that. And Satan says, well, what can I do? And so God, by the way, I just saw a spike in the viewership. So what we're doing here is a Bible study, and we're on Job, chapter 6 and 7 today. And if you're so inclined, please give us a subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000, and then I'm going to shut up about that because I hate watching videos where they constantly ask. Okay, so we're on Job chapter 6 and 7, and as I was saying, Job basically was a very upright man, and Satan, who has nothing better to do, said, "Okay, I'm going to go harass this guy," and God says, "Okay, well, as long as you don't take his life." Well, he spared his life, but he's taken everything else: his children, his wealth. He was a very wealthy man. His health, and Satan said, "Hey, look, skin for skin. But if you take a man's health, he'll curse you to your face." And so now Job's lost everything. His three buddies have come to try to console him, but they're also kind of making things worse. So we're picking it up on chapter 6. Thanks for joining. All right. Job's second speech, a response to Eliphaz. Then Job spoke again. If my sadness could be weighed and my troubles be put on the scales, they would be heavier than all the sands of the sea. That is why I spoke so rashly, for the Almighty has struck me down with his arrows. He has sent his poison arrows deep within my spirit. All God's terrors are arrayed against me. Don't I have the right to complain? Wild donkeys bray when they find no green grass, and oxen low when they have no food. People complain when there is no salt in their food, and how tasteless is the uncooked white of an egg. My appetite disappears when I look at it. I gag at the thought of eating it. Oh, that I might have my request, that God would grant my hope. I wish she would crush me. I wish he would reach out his hand and kill me. At least I can take comfort in this. Despite the pain, I have not denied the words of the Holy One. But I do not have the strength to endure. I do not have a goal that encourages me to carry on. Do I have strength as hard as stone? Is my body made of bronze? No, I am utterly helpless without any chance of success. One should be kind to a fainting friend, but you have accused me without the slightest fear of the Almighty. My brother, you have proved as unreliable as a seasonal brook that overflows its banks in the spring when it is swollen with ice and melting snow. But when the hot weather arrives, the water disappears. The brook vanishes in the heat. The the caravans turn aside to be refreshed, but there is nothing there to drink, and so they perish in the desert. With high hopes, the caravans from Tema and from Sheba stop for water, but find none. Their hopes are dashed. You, too, have proved to be of no help. You have seen my calamity, and you are afraid. But why? Have I ever asked you for a gift? Have I begged you to use any of your wealth on my behalf? Have I ever asked you to rescue me from my enemies? Have I asked you to save me from ruthless people? All I want is a reasonable answer. Then I will keep quiet. Tell me, what have I done wrong? Honest words are painful, but what do your criticisms amount to? Do you think your words are convincing when you disregard my cry of desperation? Would you even send an orphan into slavery or sell a friend? Look at me. Would you lie to your face? No, rather, would I lie to your face? Stop assuming my guilt, for I am righteous. Don't be so unjust. Do you think I am lying? Don't I know the difference between right and wrong? Chapter 7. Okay. I got some comments. Hello, Serene. Hello, Doge. Thanks. Yes. Everyone loves my glasses. Everyone says they love my glasses. These are just tinted prescription glasses. I have really light sensitive eyes. So when I'm looking into my phone, it burns after a while. So yeah. All right. Okay, where was I? Chapter 7. Is this not the struggle of all humanity? If a person's life is long and hard, like that of a hired hand, like a worker who longs for the day to end, like a servant waiting to be paid, I, too, have been assigned months of futility, long and weary nights of misery. When I go to bed, I think, when will it be morning? But the night drags on, and I toss till dawn. My skin is filled with worms and scabs. My flesh breaks open full of pus. Okay, verse 6. Job cries out to God. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle flying back and forth. They end without hope. O God, remember that my life is but a breath, and I will never again experience pleasure. You see me now, but not for long. Your eyes will be on me, but I will be dead. Just as a cloud dissipates and vanishes, those who die will not come back. They are gone forever from their home, never to be seen again. I cannot keep from speaking. I must express my anguish. I must complain in my bitterness. Am I a sea monster that you place guard on me? If I think my bed will comfort me and I will try to forget my misery with sleep, you shatter me with dreams. You terrified me with visions. I would rather die of strangulation than go on like this. I hate my life. I do not want to go on living. Oh, leave me alone for these few remaining days. What are the mortals? What are mere mortals that you should make so much of us? For you examine us every morning and test us every moment. Wow. You won't, or why, why won't you leave me alone even for a moment? Have I sinned? What have I done to you, O watcher of all humanity? Why have you made me your target? Am I a burden to you? Why not just pardon my sin and take away my guilt? For soon I will die in dust in the soon I will lie down in the dust and die. When you look for me, I will be gone. Oh, all right. I'm starting to lose it there in the end. Sometimes it's hard to read and not skip, mess up these words. All right, so now I'm going to go back through and just take note. Oh, there were so many nuggets in this, wasn't there? Okay, so first of all, I should. I stopped making comments as I read, and I've just been marking them. But with Job, it's like I think I'm gonna have to just start saying what comes to me as I read it because as I'm going back, I have a hard time remembering now. So the first thing I noted looks like don't it says verse 5, don't I have a right to complain? Wild donkeys bray when they find no green grass, and oxen low when they have no food. So he's saying people complain when there's no salt in their food, and how tasteless is the uncooked egg, white of an egg. So it's interesting all these things he says. You can tell this is definitely written by people who understand life, and he's basically saying like, man, like you guys don't even let me complain. Do I at least have a right to do that? Because they're basically chastising him, telling him, "Oh, well, you must have done something wrong to deserve all this." um, and in verse 10, he says, "At least I take comfort in this: despite the pain, I have not denied the words of the Holy One." So, in that, despite the fact that he's in utter misery and destruction, he's saying, "At least I have not denied the words of the Holy One." And also on verse 8, I noticed, or verse 9, he says, "I wish he would crush me. I wish he would reach out his hand and kill me." And anyone who's ever been in the deepest of despair like that understands that feeling of like you just don't want to live anymore. Like you think it would just be better if you were dead. What should be? Excuse me. Verse 14, one should be kind to a fainting friend, but you have accused me without the slightest fear of the Almighty. That's an interesting statement, like fear of the Almighty. Like, is he basically, where is he lacking in the fear there? My brother, you have proved as unreliable as a seasonal brook. This is an interesting analogy. A seasonal brook that overflows its banks in the spring, but that is swollen with when it's swollen with ice. But then in the hot rise and it disappears. So it's like useless in the spring, and it's useless in the, or rather, useless even in the wet months and in the dry months. So basically, it's like saying a friend who is just useless. Like has value, could offer value, but it instead is useless. Raise your hand if you've ever had a friend like that. Okay. The caravans turned aside to be refreshed, but there was nothing to drink. None of their hopes dashed. Yeah, basically a useless friend who dashes hopes. Man. Like I said, who hasn't had a friend like that? Okay, 11 is what have I done wrong? Yeah. So now in verse 24, he's like, Job is so in despair. He's saying, all I want is an answer, God. He's crying out to God, like, why, God? Why? All I want is a reasonable answer, and I'll keep quiet. Tell me what I've done wrong. Yeah, like I know I felt that many times over my life, but even recently, after getting freaking hit by a car as I'm riding my bike, I remember just thinking one night, like, why, God? Like, why is this happening again? And it's like as if I don't have enough, just problems in general, but physical problems, I already got my share of that. And and now I have this happen to me, but at the same time, it's like I could have died. I should have probably died. And yet I lived and here I am still here today. So that frustration quickly, wore off. You really want to experience joy in your life right now, instantaneously. This is what you got to do. This is whether you even believe in God or not. But especially if you believe in God and that God blesses you, and especially he blesses good people. If you are a truly good person and you're feeling like you're not being blessed and you want to instantly experience joy, then do this right now. Take out a piece of paper and like put two columns and just be like, one column is for your, your what you have versus like what you don't have, or rather your blessings and your curses, for if you will. And just write down all the things that you have to be thankful for. And you'll if you do that enough, you usually are going to find that you have a lot more to be happy about. All right, so this verse here, 26. Do you think your words are convincing when you disregard me, or disregard my cry of desperation? You would even send an orphan into slavery or sell a friend. Those words are painful. In verse 25, honest words are painful, but what do your criticisms amount to? Yeah, so that friend, Eliphaz, his words were not honest. They were just criticisms. And they were like unfounded criticisms. He was basically assuming that, oh, wow, you must have done something really bad for all this to happen to you. And Job's saying, like, when have I asked you for a gift? When have I begged you for any of your wealth on my behalf? Have I ever asked you to rescue me from my enemies? Have I asked you to save me from ruthless people? All I want is a reasonable answer, then I will keep quiet. Tell me, what have I done wrong? Honest words are painful, but what do your criticisms amount to? Do you think your words are convincing when you disregard my cry of desperation? I think that's a lesson for us. When when something bad happens to us and we have a so-called friend coming around basically trying to blame us, especially if it's if you know when it's your like fault basically, or at least if you have some level of culpability, in whatever it is. But if your friend is just sort of putting all the blame on you, your friend or your family, I know parents. There's a lot of parents that do this, man. It's like they Their children can't even come to them with anything because the parents will like turn it around on them or friends. And that's what this friend of Job is doing right now. He's assuming that Job deserved all this and saying, you know, you must have done something. Okay. And then Job says 30, do you think I'm lying? Don't I know the difference between right and wrong? Pizza. Add a Q&A sticker. Huh, some weird message popped up just now. Okay. Is this the struggle of humanity? A person's life is long and hard, like the hard hand, like the worker longs with day. Um, Here's a nice one that I marked. Verse 18 of chapter 7. This is this is Job talking to God. I'll go to 17 first. It says, what are mere mortals that you should make so much of us? For you examine us every morning and test us every moment. So he examines us. God is examining us. Imagine that. He's examining all of us every morning. And he's testing us every moment. Is that really true? Well, I'm going to stop it there. So I hope you got something out of this. I know I did. And I appreciate you being here. And we'll see you next time. Be blessed. Peace to you.